Ladies and gents, welcome to a 1v1 arena game where we are going to talk civilizations and strategy more than I usually do. And I talk a lot, believe me. So we've got a 1v1 arena game. In the red, we have JBR, who's playing as the new and improved Persians. And then in the blue, we have myself, T90 Official, who's playing as the Georgians. Okay? Now, I've released videos on both of these civilizations. The Persians have been out for a bit, and I talked about the rework in a video. And then I talked about the Georgians as well, as they are brand new in the Mountain Royals DLC, which is soon coming out, okay? So I assume you guys have seen those videos. If not, it's an option for you. But what we're going to do here is we are going to talk about the bonuses here in the Dark Age, and then this whole game is just a test of bonuses and things these civilizations can do, okay? So we're going to focus first on myself here in the blue, because I'm the Georgians, and I already rolled over my mule cart. See, the Georgians and the Armenians, they have a mule cart instead of a lumber camp or a mining camp. And the Georgians actually start with one, whereas the Armenians would have to build one and spend resources to build it. However, starting with that does make the beginning very awkward, because to compensate for that, the devs have removed 50 food from the Georgians. So I am already with quite a bit on food here, and you can tell I'm force dropping food to keep villagers producing. So this is honestly going to be one of the tougher civilizations for the average player or beginner player, because force dropping is just a pain. Like, if you really don't want to have to force drop food, honestly pick the Persians, which we'll talk about in a couple minutes on the other side of things. So what I would suggest, if you're testing this civ, by the way, is go with 8 on food, right? Go with 8 on food. 6 on food is more standard with other civs, but your villagers then don't need to spend the time to build a lumber camp, because the mule cart can just kind of sit there and wait. So in my testing, I actually think the way I've done it here is really nice. 8 on food at the start, and you should be sitting pretty. Okay, so otherwise with bonuses for the Georgians, they start with the mule cart. Their fortified church, which is their version of a monastery, provides villagers in a 10-tile radius with a 10% work rate. I'm going to test that, all right? Fun thing to show you. Units and buildings receive 15% less bonus damage when fighting from higher elevation. Unfortunately, not the best map to show you that, because there's no elevation here. So that bonus will not apply in this game. The cavalry generates 5 HP per minute in feudal, 10 HP in castle, and then 15 in imperial age. So that's something we could maybe see. Their unique unit is the Manaspa, which we could maybe have a little bit more information on the right side of the screen about the Manaspa. I consider this to be one of the strongest units in the game right off the get-go. Surprise, surprise, new DLC leads to a really strong unit. The big reason is just the cost. It is so cheap to create compared to a lot of other cav. And there's a unique way it works, which we'll get to. And then the final 2 things to mention would be the unique tech. So you have Svan Towers, where defensive buildings have +2 attack. The towers fire arrows that pierce multiple units, which is pretty fun. And then the Asnari Cavalry, where Cav takes out 15% less population space. There's also the team bonus with the repairing. That can be pretty nice. But that's kind of the introduction to the cast here for the Georgians. Now, I'm going to be going fast castle here. But on this map, normally what you do is you have extra TCs and create lots of villagers. I want to test the fortified church work rate. So what I do here is I have a heavy focus on the fortified church, just to kind of see how that can keep up with the Persians. Now, on the other side, as our scouts are actually fighting in the middle here, and JBR being a nerd, yeah, he tells me to start the game already. I don't want to start the game. I don't want to lose my scout. Anyways, JBR is playing as, I think, one of the best economic civilizations in the game, especially after these changes. So they start with +50 wooden food. That's always been the case. But they've given them an old bonus they used to have. 5% work rate for the TCs in Dark Age, 10% in Feudal, 15% in Castle, and 20% in Imperial Age. That does actually apply to the docks as well, but that work rate, to put it into like simplistic terms, if you're going up to 22 villagers around there, you're already a villager ahead. You see how this is reflected? Already a villager ahead. We both had next to no idle time. So you're a vill up because of the 5% work rate. And that's before we even get to Feudal Age and the Castle Age. And this is on the back of starting with an extra 100 resources. Like, this is really good economy here for the Persians. The other things the Persians received would be Parthian tactics and castle. So going for cav archers feels like more of a realistic option for them now. They do still lack bracer, but having Parthian is kind of cool. And then I think a bigger thing is their cavalry generates 5 gold when killing enemy military units. So if this scout here were to kill my scout, that would be 5 gold right there. And then, of course, if you make a lot more stable units and take a lot more fights, you're going to be generating gold. The only other thing to really mention with this civilization would be citadels, where the castles fire bullets and do more damage versus rams, infantry, and whatnot. And then also receive 25% less bonus damage, which I think is kind of the biggest thing, which really helps you with Trebors and whatnot. But yeah, that's kind of the introduction to the civs here. The map is Arena. And you can see on this side, we've got JBR looking to boom up towards the fast castle. Now, JBRs are on 13 or 1400. And I'm like almost 1,000 elo greater than that. So, you do have to take everything with a little bit of grain of salt in terms of what works, what doesn't. But the idea is not for me to be like super sweaty and big tryhard here. The idea is just to test things. And we accomplished that fully here in this game and got to see a lot of really cool units. All right. So here I had to make this mule cart. So there's my mule cart. This is essentially my mining camp, right? And the goal is fast castle for me. I didn't have any plan to like boom too heavily with TCs because I really wanted to test the fortified churches. And so blacksmith market for me, my 2 buildings required to go to the next age. I have my resources. I click up. And then he does the same. Now, something that he did here, I'm noticing, is he, well, I guess you don't see it yet. I already had slightly reviewed this, so you're going to know. But he went blacksmith market as well. And this normally is just a boom play and focus on economy. But he's going to also add the barracks and the stable. So he's going to add 4 buildings. There's a lot of wood spent, and that could delay TC production and whatnot. But, like, he also is advancing to the castle age a bit faster here because of the TCs working faster, right? Like, Persians are insane. I personally feel, right now, I know it's super early, but the fact that the devs gave them cav getting gold while killing enemy military units and also gave them the work rate back at Dark Age, I think it could end up being too much with the new Persians. Like, I'm happy for the Persians if they're going to have their day in the sun again. But it's been a double buff, basically. The dev said, let's give you better defense and better, bonuses for offense for military. And let's also give you an insane economy. And their Persian economy was never really weak. So, I'm curious to see how things will go. Now guys, I feel like the mule cart's still something I got to get used to. Here, I'm trying to relocate this into a different position. And as you can see, it's like, it's not a good time. I really was not happy that I tried to do that. Now, you research your wood upgrade and your gold upgrade and everything in these mule carts. But the reason I did this is because I wanted the fortified church range, the 10% efficiency to affect more villagers. That's why I moved it. So it's actually kind of the nice part about this is you can relocate your eco instead of just having to build a new lumber camp. And I think I'm not going to keep this on for too long because it's a pain. But there is a bonus, or there is a setting rather, that gives me this. Let's test it. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you. So I guess if I don't click things, it's not too obnoxious. But the idea is anything that's in that radius now gets a 10% boost with this fortified church. So it's 200 wood to do that. But now I'm going to be building farms in my fortified church area, and then most of these villagers are in that range. So I think this is how you have to play it, right? If you want to take advantage of the fortified church, 10% is pretty insane on the work rate. Now here I've kind of done a similar thing, and I wanted this to affect the gold in full, but then anything that might happen over here. So yeah, that is my focus right now. Now JBR has added some scouts to fight for map control. This is more of a standard arena thing. And was a little late to potentially... Oh, I got to stop clicking TCs. Was potentially a little late to things like farms. But again, there's an elo difference. He's trying to balance out the eco side of things as well. And he encounters me in the middle. And I'm going to add TC number 2. So, I wanted to see if there's a way we could see the increased efficiency here. It's real tricky. I wonder if even this shows it. Like, worker efficiency overall, over time, is pretty crappy for me. Last minute's pretty crappy. Efficiency overall, much higher for him. I'm not seeing it there. You could maybe look at how fast the wood comes in. And, 10% is kind of hard to see there. So I think we're going to have to do more testing. But I did actually heal up my scout. But the scout was healing a little bit anyways, too. That's something I maybe should have focused on a bit more. Remember, you do get a regen 5 HP per minute in feudal, and then 10 HP per minute in castle. So at this point, like, if you're playing an arena-style game and you both just have that one scout, you have to be really careful against the Georgians because their scout's going to heal up. So that's the idea. And I think what we could do is we could compare resources collected here in a minute. But yeah, JBR snagging relics at the moment. And, as map controls kind of paid off, I am going to use my scout here and see this monk, I assume. Huh? Are you stupid? Okay, I see it. And I'm going to kill that monk, and the monk's going to die. Sorry about the big red circle. This might actually be a good way to train me not to click TCs. I have a habit of doing that. But I am going to zoom out a bit and show you the range of efficiency now with these churches. Okay, so there's that. So I think I've done a pretty good job with placing them. It gets the farms here. Only one farmer's out. Here it gets the gold. Here you get a lot of my farmers and gold, and then the potential farmers as well. So at this point, similar vill counts. Let's actually see. And res collected, it's not really that different. I mean, but, it's tough because I think Persians have one of the best economies in the game. So, competing with the Persian eco is kind of a tricky thing to compare. So maybe I should have gone for more of a generic civilization instead of Persians. By the way, I don't know if they're going to fix it more, but the pathing there was garbage. Like, my scout is getting caught on the relic here. Watch this. So I know they have a tendency to say new and improved pathing every patch. I'm sure they'll say it this time too. But I'm getting stuck. My unit's getting stuck on the relic somehow. And, like, if my scout's a little bit weaker there, I don't get the monk. That's a pretty big deal. So, just thought I want to be honest with you guys, right? Now, I have heard things. I've been told behind the scenes that in the new update, like when it comes out, that the pathing, they're really reworking some things with pathing. So, I'm ready to be proven wrong. But, it's kind of like a boy who cried wolf situation. I have heard that a lot. So it is at a point now where I'm really waiting to be wowed before I truly, want to broadcast that to you guys and believe it. So I'm advancing out with my monks. Georgians don't have the best monk upgrades, but it's not the worst either. And I just want to get some relics, right? And JBR didn't make that many scouts. He really is focusing on his boom. 3 TCs for him. Eco count's very similar for us. I was much later to my town center, so my idle TC time's really low, but I didn't have the TCs as quickly. And here I'm going to use my monks to convert that scout. And I'm just going to walk back home with that relic. But again, look at the range now. So that's 800 wood. And I guess the area that I'm seeing needs to be improved on would be this. Like, I need to farm here maybe. I'm mining a lot of resources right now. But I feel like where this is going to be strong is with mining. Especially because this is a monastery. So usually I could see a lot of all-in monk plays working where you build... What I didn't think about is building multiple over the same gold pile or something. I don't know how that works. I'm sure people will do some tests on it. But I'm able to get home with one of my relics. Now, Arena experience has told me that if you have map control, whether or not you're planning on killing anyone or not, a little bit of siege pressure here, if they don't have units anymore, is always going to freak the opponent out. So that's what we're going to try here. Love the JBR eco balance. Look at that. Sells 1,000 wood and then use the gold to buy food. So why use your wood to farm when you could just use the market? Now, we can all chuckle at that, but I know if JBR is at 13 or 1400, majority of you guys might not be there, and I know you guys can relate to that. It's like way easier to just use the market than add the farm sometimes, so Yeah. You know, if I have an opportunity to give my friend crap, I'm gonna do it. All right, I'm gonna do it. So let's look at the range. Looking pretty fancy schmancy over here. And I do think, like, in theory, you should be making lots of monks and going for a monk push. Their monks kind of drop off a little bit because they lack upgrades in later stages. So it's going to be a bit weird to see how this civ plays out with their fortified church. But I just wanted the most efficient economy possible, and we're testing how the civilization plays, right? So this is where it gets tricky, because he right now, he's in the dark on this. And he doesn't know what this could lead to. And so he now has to build a castle to defend from this type of push. I think a castle here would be a little bit better for him. But, you know, his golds are pretty far forward. The map gen definitely isn't helping him. So, you know, some concern from him at the moment. Res collected, though. Persian's still ahead. Like, I think that might have something to do with the fact that he used the market a bit, too. Because when the market's used, the res collected gets skewed a little bit. But, I mean, I've got more villagers. And I've got the efficiency. The efficiency stats now, if you look at capture age, last minute I'm more efficient, but that makes sense because I'm pressuring. Overall, efficiency is not that different. So I don't know, like, again, this is just one game. But I didn't feel like my economy was as strong as a straight 3TC boom, in all honesty. I think maybe it might be best, and I, of course, saw his castle was coming up here. And now I see his awful gold, so I feel really bad for him. He's just like... He's so scared he's got to place all these castles here. But I wonder if it might end up being better to add the town centers first and get the workers, and then boost the efficiency of the workers with the churches later. Now, we're testing here. The whole point of this is to test. So I think I remember saying something along the lines of, I just want to hurt him a little bit. I don't want to end the game. But, you know, obviously, taking what opportunities I can here to apply pressure to the opponent. It is a war game. And he gets a nice conversion there on the scout. That might have been the scout that used to be his. And he will complete this castle. And he'll be good. He'll be in the Imperial Age. He is in the Imperial Age, actually. Behind this, we've been able to get 2 relics. And he's trying to think of what unicomp to go for. Being the Persians... and I think it would make sense to maybe go for some light cav right now. He has the stable already. Light cav against the monks, but he doesn't know what I'm going to go for. What I'm going to go for is the Monaspo. And that'll be the next thing we talk about here in a second, but I just want to show the efficiency. So I'm missing some areas, but I think it's pretty good. I wonder what happens here. Like, this villager isn't presently getting the 10% efficiency bonus, right? Or work rate bonus. But does she when she's on this area of the farm? I assume she does. I wish there'd be an easy way to show you that. We'd have to almost like see how fast the food is coming in. I'm going to try it here. Let's see. Okay, she's going to go to the bottom of the farm. I can't tell the difference. Can't tell the difference. Yeah, I want to use the Monaspa in combination with Cav. Because the way the Monaspa works is you get up to +5 attack based on the amount of units, the amount of cav you have in the group. So the best way to explain that bonus would be, you know how with the Lithuanians, you get +1 attack per relic in your monastery? Well, here it's like, Hardy's going to edit in the exact details because of course I forget and I'm stupid. But it's like, your attack is dependent on the amount of units you have in your group. So the more units you have in your group, the closer you get to the max attack. And guys, what's easier? Getting 4 relics in your monastery when there's 5 relics on the map, or just making a bunch of cav? Like, the answer is clear. Making a bunch of cav. By the way, beautiful castle here. I love the Georgian castle. I think I'm going to turn off the range here in a second, but can we just appreciate how much I tried? If I don't have one commenter saying, wow, T90, you really tried. If I don't have at least that, I'm going to be upset. That is a really good job. That's a lot of wood, guys. A lot of wood invested. And still up to 43 farms. I'm proud of myself. Okay, let's turn this off now. This is too much. We don't need that anymore. Perfect. All right, so I've shown some monks. I've shown some siege. He wants to surprise me a little bit. I was able to take down his monastery, so he's going to get his relics again. And he shows up with Lightcalf to take a little bit more of the map. Banking a bit of gold right now. And he's going to kill every single one of my monks. Beautiful play. I am, of course, a little concerned here, as I'm going for Cavalier and thinking of making Knights. And the Knights are going to engage against the Lightcalf. Knights are always going to be Lightcalf, but Lightcalf do have decent enough numbers. So I'm going to try my best to save the weak ones here. And keep in mind, you don't need to get a unique tech to get the bonus that I talked about earlier with the Manaspa. Okay, so it's 95 HP, but it's 45 gold a pop. The full cost of this is way cheaper, whereas like a Cavalier is 75 gold per. So this is a bit more glass cannon-y, where the attack is high and then the HP is low compared to Paladin. But the max attack is pretty ridiculous. And if you look at them, gotta wait here. So I'm researching attack upgrades, so it's going to be tricky. But there's a point where you start to look at the attack on these things, and you'll get it. Well, actually, hold on a second. It's very possible Capture Age isn't set up for this yet. Ooh, that sucks. Okay, I was going to say. Okay, so guys, unfortunately, Capture Age isn't set up for this. This is a 12 plus 5 attack right now, and I haven't finished the plus 2 attack. So that is because the numbers in the group. So the Cavalier stays at the normal attack, but then, you know, I've essentially got plus 4 attack for having a group of 22 units. Yeah, that's it. So Capture Age is not going to show this because it's not set up for this yet. They did say they're supporting the DLCs, but I don't know how much time it's going to take for that to actually show. That's notable, right? To have a group of 22 units and already have a plus 4 attack, that is so much easier than ever having to get 4 relics. Like, your opponent can't really deny you that, right? It's like, what are they going to deny you making military in a war game? So I guess we'll have to tab into the actual game from time to time. But yeah, I mean, this is an army that is going to have ridiculous attack. Now, on the flip side of things, we have Cavalier right now for JBR, and JBR is researching Savar. Now, I didn't talk about the Savar earlier when I said that the Persian economy is going to be insane, and then their options are going to be insane, and they kind of double buffed them. Well, the Savar is their new Paladin, basically. But I feel like it's stronger than a Paladin in almost every way. The armor is really strong. The HP is pretty strong. I think where it could be weaker is just lacking some HP compared to a Paladin. But it compensates by that with having more armor. So, I mean, that armor is going to be nice against the Elite Manaspa. Now, this would be an instance where I actually just have 14 plus 2 attack. But you'll notice my unit's healing, too. So the unit heals. You have insane... You've got 8 melee armor, 6 pierce armor, which isn't bad. It heals. It gets all this extra bonus damage. That could eventually take it up to 14 plus 8 attack. It's ridiculous. And here's the unique tech, which means my cav takes up less population space. So you can then make more of them. Right? So that's nice for me. Of the 180 population I actually have, I have an extra 4 or 5 army, I guess. Someone can do the math on that. Okay, but let's look at the Savar now. JBR is missing blacksmith upgrades here. But there you go. So base HP 165. That's 15 HP below a Paladin. Base armor, though, is a little bit higher than a Paladin. And it looks pretty cool. It kind of looks bowyar-y. Looks very similar to a bowyar in the chainmail and whatnot. I think bowyars have chainmail. But yeah, I'm obviously... I want to test... And I'm telling him to get blacksmith upgrades right now because we want to fight these bad boys and I'm ready to go. But yeah, just to show you. So I think using the actual game is important here. Just to show you in this group, my Cavalier's at 12 plus 4. The Manaspa's at 14 plus 8. 8 melee armor, 6 pierce. And cost, now that I'm here, I actually want to double check because Hardy's going to do the editing later. I don't have everything memorized right now. Yeah, I was right. 60 food, 45 gold. I mean, the unit is dirt cheap for that type of bonus. So that to me is just wild. And you know, on the back of a potentially very efficient economy, once people figure out the fortified churches, I think this civ's going to be insane. Like, the weakness for the Manaspa, I feel is like really big balls of archers, because it won't have the HP to be able to close in. But with that much attack, it's going to like two-shot an archer. 14 plus 8, right? So that's... I'm doing math here. I'm doing it in my head. I mean, that's ridiculous amounts of attack. It's 22 attack per hit. And then you would have a large group. So, especially if they're actually improving pathing. Like, best of luck, guys. Best of luck. I'm not totally surprised that a new DLC Civilization is going to be a little bit busted. I think we may look back at it and be like, remember this? Hey, check this out. The mule card has tons of HP. And I researched masonry, and I guess because it's seen as a building, even though it's a unit, I got more HP on it. It was 300 HP at the start, and it went up to 363 HP. There's a point in this game where I try and block with mule carts. And a strategy I think that pros are going to use, as ridiculous as this sounds, I actually think they're going to use mule carts in fights to tank archer fire. Because that's a ton of HP, and it's relatively cheap for late game. I could see a world where they eventually remove all the armor on a mule cart or remove some of the HP on it. Because I've heard players saying how in an archer war, the one guy's sending mule carts into the battle. Which is very creative. But I guess that could potentially be a bit of an issue with that much HP. Like that, a Trebuchet's got 200 HP. How does this guy have 363 HP? There might be some potential drawbacks to... Like, there's an example of it. Look at how strong that is. That's against 14 plus 4 Savars, which JBR still doesn't have the final upgrade on. So, not the best test for you, and I didn't realize when I took the fight, but let's see who wins. Crazy fight here. Now, numbers are very similar. I've got less HP to work with, but I have that 14 plus 8 attack, and the fight's not even close. Like, this unit is stronger than a paladin in my view, and sure, there's an upgrade missing, but this is bonkers. And remember, he's spending 75 gold per unit, and I'm spending 45 gold per unit. So, the Manaz was ridiculously strong. Now, what we're also doing is we're adding the towers after the unique text Van Tower upgrade. So towers fire arrows that pierce multiple units. Doesn't really show too much against buildings, but I'm going to try and lure them into the towers here for you. And making a bit of a tower wall here. Now, the beautiful thing is, too, is you could fall back and then your cav heals. So you could see the healing. Look at this group. All the healing's happening. That's significant. Especially if you have leftover monks in there, too. That's really nice. And, you know, if you have good defensive structures, you could just fall back in between your towers like I'm doing and just wait to heal up. Now, he's going to go Halb, which is a great option here. You know, count a lot of bonus damage. There's the mule cart in there. Again, very strong for a unit that's just an economic unit. We'll see how the Halbs do against the towers, though. He's obviously in a really rough position here. But, okay, watch this. Watch this. I see he's coming for the raid, and I'm like, mule cart block, let's go, woo! So, you know, I had to add the gates, obviously. But then he gets through, and I'm like, can I block him with my eco buildings? Look. These things are pretty chunky. I mean, it's not ideal. You shouldn't do it necessarily. It shouldn't be part of your battle plan. But, you know, if you get enough of them stacked, it is able to block the path. Ultimately, he runs through this gate. And then I just kind of clear the gates out of here as my units are coming to clean it up. But it's something to think about for sure, right? You can't do that with a lumber camp. You'd have to, like, build the lumber camp. You can't move them around. And I could see people trying to be really nerdy with it, so... Anyways, I thought that was pretty decent. So I think where the towers hitting multiple targets will come into play is when you have rather large groups and they're bunched up. So I guess if you're playing against it, what you would basically want to do... And there's citadels for him, so we'll see that in action, but... what you'd want to do is spread your units out, I think, so they're not all clumped up. I've got most of the tower upgrades too. I think I might be missing arrow slits. But yeah, let's see if I could show you an example. Yeah, you can kind of see it there, actually. So we actually are going to see it all in action. Watch this. Okay, so right here, there's a hit. And you'll see the HP on all of them go down. So these are all full HP. And right there. Yeah, multiple examples of it, right? So the, like, 3 or 4 units got damaged with 1 or 2 shots there. So that's the tower bonus coming into play. Now, I'm concerned for counter units. Like, these units are so strong, like, counter units aren't going to be able to stay alive. The bullets you're seeing, though, is the Citadel's upgrade, which is doing pretty decent damage. So, you know, and also, I think it definitely has some level of fear factor. Because it would freak you out if you're seeing bullets out of a castle versus, like, I don't know, just arrows, right? But, you know, unfortunately for JBR, he's in a pickle here. And he's going to be in an even bigger pickle if he makes the militia he's got in queue. He's just panicked, right? There's a level difference here. And, you know, one bad fight snowballs on you against a better player, and usually you're going to have problems. And the Savars were just not good enough against this unit that I have here. And I'm just... Like, you kill the Halb so quickly. Like, the design of this unit is something's wrong. It is gonna be too strong, for sure. But, you know, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. You guys tell me if you agree or disagree. The thing that I really like about the Georgians, like, Manaspa, it kind of suits me because I like to play Cav. But honestly, the cool thing about this Civ is the eco and the uniqueness of the fortified churches adding efficiency. That type of thing excites me more than anything. There's going to be a lot of playing around with efficiency on the mule carts too, because you can move them close to your wood line to make things more efficient there. There's just a lot of different things to test. You can see the Citadels against the Siege Rem here. It is good that the Citadels still isn't too good versus Siege Rem, because Siege Rem always has to be in that spot, I think, where it's very good against anything a castle or a tower can do. We were actually playing this as we had to kill time before tournament set, so I had to be a little bully here and make the move. But yeah, we got to see quite a few unique things, right? We got to see the tower for the Georgians and how unique that is with the pass-through damage. The Citadels now, unfortunately, it's not enough. We got to see a bit of the Savar. We got to see the Manaspa. Granted, there was a numbers difference in the Manaspa versus Savar fight. But, like I said, you're able to afford... Actually, Hardy, do me a favor and just put some numbers up on screen for the people who like numbers, okay? And just tell me the resource difference between 40 Savar and then 40 Manaspa. And this is before we do this, and this is also important, before we compare the cost of upgrading to Cavalier and then Paladin, or Savar, sorry, versus just the Elite upgrade for the Manaspa. Now, there is the whole other thing, which I won't have Hardy do, where you have to make castles to make the Manaspa, which is obviously much more expensive than maybe making the stables. But yeah, like, there's just so much more potential, I think, for this unit. And on a closed map like this, where you can get the beautiful efficiency we talked about here, I'll show it one more time. I think it's pretty good. So I don't think the way I boomed with the Georgians is necessarily best. That's just based on the feel of the game. I really think that what I did is... Oh, God. Okay, that's not what I wanted. I really think that what I did is incorrect. I think that you want to actually add the TCs first and then boost the efficiency later with the fortified churches. But anyways, as we now double-click them, and this is what I wanted, I thought this was pretty cool. So... my favorite part about the Georgians, not necessarily the unit, but the eco side of things, and I'm sure people are going to figure it out. The Persians, I think, have a ridiculous economy. I think that it's kind of tough to test the Georgian efficiency compared to the Persian eco, because the Persian eco is still pretty good, but ultimately we had a bit of control there, and it was all good fun. Thank you, JBR, for for playing in the game. So, guys, give me your thoughts on everything, please, on the Persians and the Georgians and the new DLC coming up. The other civ, of course, is the Armenians. I might not be able to have an Armenians cast for you over the next couple days. I just announced I'm done streaming on Facebook, and I'm taking some time off with family. We've got lots of videos in stockpile, don't worry. But I really, at the time I'm even recording this, I really just should stop. I have a problem. I have an Age of Empires problem. So probably you'll have to wait a few more days until we get the Armenian stuff up. But obviously, once the DLC is fully out and everything, we'll get plenty of stuff there. I'm looking forward to interacting with some of you all on streams and videos in the future. All right? So, cool stuff. Yeah, look for your comments. Curious in your thoughts. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you in the next one.